Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Bite Size Podcast. I'm your host Clayton at Clates AFC on Twitter. It's a spontaneous midweek late night stream. I don't think we've done one of these in a while, but the Arsenal have beaten Bolton 5-1 in the EFL Cup. We're into the next round in the fourth round. The draw will be done during this recording, so I'm not going to watch it live. Obviously, if anyone's in the chat watching it live, please let me know who we get. I selfishly would like an away team where Arsenal have a large allocation so I can continue to build my away credits, but I thought I'd just jump on and have a very quick spontaneous stream because there were lots of talking points from this one. So 5-1, rotated 11, a really nice balanced team in my opinion of like some of the kind of experienced senior first teamers, the likes of the likes of Saka was a bit of a surprise. Declan Rice starting, they're the senior first teamers. But then you look at like the experienced fringe players as well, like Jorginho in there, Jesus. We saw Sterling start, Calafiori obviously, and then the youngsters, Jack Porter, Josh Nichols, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Ethan Nwaneri, of course, and then some substitutes. Can't remember if I said Kivior, but good to see him play. But all in all, I think if we could have kept a clean sheet, that would have literally been the perfect night. I think we rotated really nicely. Like I said, nice balanced team, got key players off at the right time, managed to get some people on as well to maintain and maximize freshness. Just all in all, really, really nice performance and a nice evening. And for any Bolton fans that may have gone or are listening to this, hope you kind of enjoy. It sounds patronizing, I don't mean it like that, but genuinely hope you enjoyed your day out. Like I've been there where I've kind of gone on an away day and like the result sucks, but like the football's usually the worst part of the trip. And hopefully you all traveled safely, enjoyed yourself. From an Arsenal perspective, it's annoying we conceded, but I know it's nice to be able to have your goal in that moment. So but on the Arsenal, Ethan Nwaneri, mate, this guy is special. He's really, really special. I try not to get too carried away with youngsters just because I feel like there's so many factors that could influence their development outside of their control, outside of the club's control. But if everything goes to plan, if nothing unusual happens, I think we are onto an absolute winner. And I'll talk about Miles Lewis-Skelly as well because he absolutely impressed. But I do think Ethan Nwaneri's in a class of his own, if I'm being honest. And that's not a downside on Miles Lewis-Skelly. I think it's just how impressive Ethan Nwaneri is for a 17-year-old. He's just absolutely incredible. But for those of you that are watching live, let me know your thoughts. Who impressed you the most? And do you think Ethan Nwaneri will start on Saturday against Leicester? Let me know in the chat. For those of you that know me personally, you'll know I am a granddad and I usually like to go to bed very early. So please support the show. Obviously going live fairly late. So any support for the show would be appreciated. If you could drop the stream a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here so you don't miss future episodes like this. And if you listen back on podcast, depending if you enjoy the episode, consider giving it a review. But let's get into it. I think for these solo reviews, I like to keep them short and snappy. So let's go player by player. Jack Porter, 16 years old. I was really impressed with him. I think you have to adjust your expectations when you're analysing a 16-year-old goalkeeper that got his debut in very extenuating circumstances, with Neto being cup-tied and Setford being injured as well. Jack Porter became the 906th player to play for the Arsenal, and he's the second youngest player ever to play for the club, but he's the youngest goalkeeper to ever play for the club. And do you know what? I was really impressed with his composure. I think there were moments, especially in like the first half, where the ball would go back to him and he just looked measured and controlled. And at the end of the game, he took he took the corner really well, like came and commanded it. And it was just really nice to see how like some of the senior players supported him as well. So for the goal, like he got done, but he's 16 years old, right? What an experience that must have been for him. And I think he can really hold his head up high. And it was really nice to see, like when he misplaced one pass, like Jorginho, Calafiori straight away going and clapping and supporting him. I think there was some something else that he did well, where like it was maybe a pass and Gabriel was like really applauding him. Really nice to see how he was supported. And yeah, what a moment. I just can't comprehend that. Like, imagine him at school tomorrow. That's absolutely insane. But yeah, lovely stuff. Onto the right back, Josh Nichols again. So another debutant, and he became the joint 906th player to represent the club. Mixed performance, in my opinion. I think he's a little bit more raw than the likes of Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri, in my opinion. Yeah, he's another youngster, right? I don't want to I don't even want to go into constructive criticism. He's 18 years old. He just looks a little bit more technically raw on the ball. A few like under-hit passes, a few bobbles in there when he's giving the ball onto someone else. And positionally, I think he looked a little bit confused on where to be when other people had the ball, in correlation to the positional play that we play. But like I say, I'm not gonna kind of go overboard on that. He's 18, and again, great experience for him. He was with the first team on the preseason tour, so yeah, fair play to him. Kiwior was good to see him play. Didn't have much to do. Yeah, I thought he was really good with assisting Nichols in the kind of aerial duels that went up and stuff. But yeah, good to see Kiwior get a run out. Yeah, he didn't have too much to do, to be fair. Calafiori, he's going to be a fun player, and he just the way he drives with the ball. Had a right-footed shot from outside the box that he attempted, encouraged by the crowd. Yeah, really fun player, and it was nice to see him kind of go off on the 70th minute as well. So yeah, maximizing the kind of freshness of everyone available. So yeah, like I said in the preview, it's really annoying the likes of Tomiyasu and Zinchenko aren't around at the minute. This would have been the perfect game for them as well to kind of take the load off other players instead of having to bring on a Gabriel, etc. But yeah, Calafiori, again, like they didn't have too much to do. Miles Lewis-Skelly, yeah, really encouraging, and I hope he obviously went off injured. Really hope it's not serious because he looks like a really encouraging talent. He's 17 as well, and it's interesting because I've actually watched him play for the academy because sometimes I do go to Meadow Park to watch him, and whenever I watched him there, I think I've seen him like 2-3 times. He was always like a number 6 or playing a little bit higher in midfield. And you can see that kind of inverted left back thinking in terms of him arriving into central areas, being really technically comfortable. Yeah, really encouraging performance. That pass from him into Sterling, which then resulted in Nwaneri's goal, like line breaking passes at 17. Yeah, it's just the confidence. And even I'm sure there was another period in the game where I want to say it was to Kiwior. He was really shouting, like, give me the ball. And he was ignored. But yeah, really rate the bravery and the bravery, not is probably the wrong word, but like the confidence and the self-belief to be demanding that. So yeah, really encouraging from him. Hope it's not too serious. He was the most fouled player in the match, which I think says a lot about his ability on the ball. Yeah, 55 out of 61 passes, 90% accuracy. Very, very impressive. He's got areas to improve as well, in my opinion. Again, won't go into that. It doesn't feel like the right kind of circumstances, but yeah, he's in the right environment under the right coach to absolutely maximize his potential and opportunity into the midfield. There's one place to start. Ethan Nwaneri, man of the match, obviously, 17 years old, 2 goals on his first start. He came on against Brentford, famously. Came on against Tottenham. Did he come on against? No, yeah, that was it. He came on against Tottenham. But between Porter, Nwaneri, Nichols, and Miles Lewis-Skelly, they're all the first players to play sorry, let me reread the tweet from George Bird. Porter, Nwaneri, Nichols, and Lewis-Skelly become the first players to play in a competitive game at the Emirates Stadium who were born after the stadium opened in July 2006. Absolutely mind-blowing. But yeah, Ethan Nwaneri, he's just, I think when I say he's in a class of his own, it's like I feel he has the technical, the tactical, and the physical side all unlocked already. Like, not saying there's no areas he can improve on, but his running power, his ability to receive the ball, shield it, and create a yard to then pivot and move off. I think an area that he will look to work on and develop to force himself into the first team is to really force himself onto the ball more and make himself more available. I think there were periods in the second half where he could have got involved more on the ball. Um, and I think that will really help him to kind of force himself into the starting 11 very soon, especially while Martin Odegaard is out. But yeah, just a joy to watch him. His confidence, his technique, his tactical awareness, like I said, and his physicality. He's 17 years old. I don't know how tall he is. Like he's fairly short. But he just looks powerful, and he's got that low center of gravity. I think we are onto an absolute diamond there with him. Yeah, super impressive performance, and yeah, his like aggressive running into the box to be there for when the cross arrived from Sterling was really impressive. And then second one was obviously a little bit fortunate. It wasn't the best finish, but it hit the back of the net. So yeah, really impressive performance. And it was nice to see him in company with Jorginho and Declan Rice in midfield. Jorginho just did what he did, got on the ball here and there, kept it ticking. 54 out of 59 passes completed, 92%. He did one pass that was absolutely outrageous. So it just kind of cut through two of the Bolton defenders. I want to say into Saka, but the gap, for those watching on YouTube can see me describing it, was like that. And for podcast listeners, I am trying to illustrate a very small gap, very poorly. But yeah, absolutely brilliant pass that was. 11 passes into the final third. And again, it just felt like a nice experienced head in the middle of the pitch to accompany and orchestrate some of the younger band members, if we can say that. Declan Rice, again, yeah, it's nice for him to get some minutes because he obviously missed out against Tottenham. But then he did, to be fair, put in a shift in Atalanta and Manchester against Man City. But yeah, nice for him to get 62 minutes. He obviously scored, had a part to play in even Nwaneri's second goal. I did forget, to be fair, Josh Nichols did, I think an assist is a stretch for Rice's goal. But Nichols was the one that crossed the ball, and it took one, maybe two ricochets before it fell to Rice. But then Rice was there. And I think this is where you see the gulf in quality in the top level. Like once that he shifted it onto his right foot, you just knew it was going to be a goal. So yeah, nice to see him get a run out. Again, yeah, kept the ball ticking, kept it moving, defensively astute. One bit I forgot on Jorginho was obviously for their goal. Very brave for us to have Jorginho as the last man, the last line of defense. And yeah, to be fair, it was a really nice break from them. So that was to make it 3-1. And Aaron Collins got the goal. But yeah, they broke really nicely. But Jorginho was like, yeah, we're seeing him sprinting back always makes me laugh. But happy that I was able to laugh about it in this circumstance and it wasn't in a game of higher stakes. But yeah, going back to the player-by-player reviews, Bukayo Saka, I know, raised a few eyebrows, him starting. I personally understood it. Okay, understood's probably the wrong terminology. I could make sense of it. I think with everyone that is available at the minute, I thought my predicted 11 was my predicted front three was Sterling, Jesus, Martinelli, and I just thought it was well, Sterling and Jesus obviously started with Martinelli. I just thought there would be the element of him trying to kind of play him into some confidence. Like I think he did well against City, but he obviously could really do with a goal at the minute. And I thought this would be the opposition to do that. But I could see the logic in Saka starting. And I had a few conversations where I said, yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Saka starts because he only got 45 minutes against Man City and he's only completed 190 minutes this season, which was against Brighton. So I wonder if there is the element of wanting, like there's kind of stamina, but then there's match fitness. And I wonder if there's an element of wanting to get him to like another level of match sharpness and fitness by playing him into that rhythm. So I could understand why he started, and it's just nice to see him kind of play with like a level of freedom, where he's not double tripled up on by like very good defenders. The way he drops the shoulder, just toyed with the fullback. He created the most chances in the game. He just looked like he had fun, and it made me laugh when you saw Nwaneri celebrating. It was like a Saka in the background, and obviously all the memes at the minute are a Saka in the middle of Lewis-Skelly and Nwaneri. Uncle Saka, youngest uncle to exist. He does play like one with his kind of experience at the tender age of 23. But yeah, that was really nice to see him. Again, I need to be careful with my wording. It was good to see him play the way he did, and had a key part to play for Sterling's goal, obviously with a nice drop of the shoulder, and then smacking it into the middle where Raheem Sterling pounced on the rebound, and he made it 4-1. I was encouraged with what I saw from him. It's interesting. I feel like for Saturday against Leicester, there's two tactical things in my mind we might do in the absence of Odegaard for this game where we'll have more of the ball. One is Nwaneri just going to come in for Odegaard? 4-3-3, Havertz up top. The other is, are we going to go for a Trossard or a Jesus profile false 9 with Havertz right 8? And I do wonder if Nwaneri has kind of pushed himself into the starting 11 with that performance. Not sure. Need to think about it. And Nima and I will be previewing that game on Friday afternoon. So for those of you watching that aren't subscribed, we saw in our analytics 50% of our watchers are not actually subscribed. So that may be by accident. You may not realize. Consider subscribing so you don't miss out on that when we do it. But the reason I talk about that in the context of Sterling is when I looked at those fixtures of Leicester, Southampton and Bournemouth coming up, they scream Raheem Sterling games to me. I think from left wing, I must say. Those games, I mean, I'll talk about that in the preview, but I think Sterling's ability to kind of stop the ball and accelerate in a short period of 5 to 10 yards, drop the shoulder, completely go, turn inside out, and his off the ball movement, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. And considering he hasn't played much football, he looked sharp. I think final product wasn't quite there. A few questionable takes and decisions, but that's normal. That will come. And I think, again, when there's opposition like Bolton, it's quite easy to not be 100% efficient in every decision you make because that level of intensity that requires your attention isn't quite dialed up to the level like when you play against Man City. So I think it's easy to become a little bit lackadaisical in some of your decision making. But yeah, I was encouraged by what I saw from him. He obviously got a goal, got the assist for Nwaneri, looked sharp, movement looked good, really nice option to have. I said when we signed him, we've replaced Reece Nelson with Raheem Sterling in the squad. There's no way that's not a net positive for me. So yeah, encouraging to see that. Gabriel Jesus, completed the most dribbles in the match, but wanted to see more, I think. I saw him against Leverkusen in pre-season, and there was another game he played in pre-season, and he looked really, really good, really sharp. Arteta was full of praise for him about his sharpness, the energy. And to be fair, you do still see that, the sharpness, the energy. I just think, how can I try and put what I'm thinking into words on Gabriel Jesus? I just feel like we've become a very efficient team. And he's a very inefficient player in his decision making. I feel like the example people use at Man City is like Jeremy Doku on the wing, causing Haaland frustration because he gets to the byline, drops the shoulder, comes back, and you don't really know what his next action is. As much as I think Jesus' chaos factor is useful for us in certain game states, I do think sometimes it causes a net negative where there's just a level of ambiguity in terms of what's next and people being able to make the next run, the next action, be one step ahead of the opposition like we always are. I expected more from him today. Didn't think his decision making was great. Looked quite rusty on the ball, in my opinion. He's nowhere near starting, in my opinion, and that's not necessarily an awful thing. We've obviously got Kai Havertz. Trossard, I think, is very good when playing as a false 9. I prefer him starting there than on the left wing, to be honest. So for this period, if Jesus can just be a good rotational centre forward option, then I mean, you're probably not going to find much better if that's the role. As a starter, got my concerns on him right now. But yeah, that's the player by player. Let's go through the subs. So Havertz came on, obviously got his goal. He came on and played left 8, replaced Declan Rice. I wonder if there was an element of perhaps looking at that as a solution in the absence of Odegaard in these upcoming games. Maybe not him as a left 8, but perhaps playing as the right 8. Who knows? Gabriel, like I said, came on for Mars Lewis-Skelly. Now, here we go. Mr. Maldini Kachuri. No pressure, son. Your name cannot be Maldini as a centre-back, and you can't... Yeah, what am I trying to say here? I'm waffling. If your name is Maldini as a centre-back, you better be bloody elite. But yeah, he was that his debut? Yeah, that must have been his debut. And apparently he's the first Albanian to represent the Arsenal. He became the 908th player to play for the club. And yeah, he looked good. Didn't have much to do. Kept passing it to Gabriel, vice versa. Martinelli came on for Saka, like I said, and then the final debutant was Ismail Kabia, and he became the 909th player to play for the Arsenal. And a very niche thing I noticed, his off-the-ball movement looked really good. There was a point where Martinelli got to the byline and put a cross in, and he darted towards the front post. And I always think that's really encouraging to see that, because regardless of the context of the game, the scoreline, the game state, it's good to see that sort of stuff. So yeah, all in all, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 evening, let's say. No injuries. Got to see some of our talented youngsters. We're into the next round, so they get more opportunities to play. Just while I've been scrolling and talking, I've just seen a couple other stats that I'll read out. So from Harvey Downs 92 on Twitter, following Ethan Nwaneri's brace today, Arsenal are now unbeaten in their last 69 matches in which a teenager has scored for them since losing the 2007 League Cup final against Chelsea. And obviously it was a 17-year-old Theo Walcott that bagged that day. And Ethan Nwaneri is now Arsenal's youngest goal scorer since Jack Wilshere versus Sheffield United in September 2008. Bloody hell, that's a blast from the past. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there. It was, like I said, a spontaneous one. I'm usually in bed by this time, to be honest. I am a granddad. So for those of you that have joined in live, I've seen there's been a lot of you watching. Not many in the chat. I understand you're probably all traveling back from the game. But if you do have the time, please come on and drop the stream a like. It does help us a lot. Subscribe to the channel. What we do content-wise, if you're new here, is spontaneous. Well, yeah, this was a spontaneous one, but I always do a solo preview and review of Champions League and domestic cup games. And then my co-host Nima and I on a Friday afternoon will always preview every Premier League game, and then on a Sunday we'll review every game. Obviously, if we play on a Sunday, we'll do it on a Monday. Yeah, nice little community, fan-led content here. Yeah, and I'd like to think we're not clickbaity type people. So if that's your thing, subscribe and get involved. I'll just shout out one of our regular listeners, Christopher Tellez, who said, I won't be able to catch this live because it's midnight here and I'm exhausted. We'll listen back while on the way to work. Great result, and I'm buzzing for the academy lads. Up the Arsenal. Well said, Christopher Tellez. Hope you sleep well and hope work goes well tomorrow and you enjoy this on your commute. Let's have a look to see, has the draw been done to see if Arsenal have figured out who we've got in the fourth round? No, it's being done right now. Should I stay live while we do it? Nah, I'm gonna head. I need to go sleep. But yeah, thanks for everyone that's watched this. Like I said, if it's a bit of you, please like the stream, subscribe to the channel, and give us a review on podcast. For the Bolton fans, if you've listened, safe journey back, and all the best for the rest of the season. Hope you get promoted. And yeah, it's nice to see. I can't remember if I touched on this on the Arsenal preview pod or the fan zone pod. I went on the Bolton pod, but Bolton have obviously had like a really tough period as a football club, especially since they got relegated in 2012. I think it was. They in 2019 were probably at their lowest they've ever been. So it was really nice to go on that pod and hear from their perspective how they're feeling about their future as a football club, and heading in the right direction. So yeah, hope you enjoyed your trip to North London, and safe travels back, and all the best for the rest of the season. I'll be back with Nima on Friday to preview the Leicester game. See you then. Up the Arsenal.